What is up, and welcome to episode 11 of A Look Behind the Curtain with Chris. The purpose of this YouTube channel is to answer the two questions I get the most, which are, is digital marketing real, and is anyone having success with it? And it's also to kind of give you some tools and resources that you can take into your life and business and apply them to make it better. So every week, I will be pulling somebody out in the community and interviewing them about their success, some of the obstacles they've hit, how they overcame them, and ultimately just getting a look behind the curtain of their success. So this week, I have the great opportunity to have someone out. This gentleman is a photographer who has sold his artwork for hundreds of dollars. He's used the skills that we've learned here from the skills of a digital marketer to create a funnel for his current employer that's done thousands of dollars. And he's also been able to create an ad that has generated him thousands of dollars, only spending $5 a day. So without further ado, I would like to bring out Daniel Taylor. Daniel, welcome to the show.
Hey, Chris, thanks for having me. Good to be here.
Sorry, just smack the mic. Give me 1 second. Let me refix that. All right. So, Dan, I like to start off the show basically with just an intro of who you are, basic backstory, where you come from, what schooling maybe you've gone through, what other business ventures maybe you've tried, ultimately leading up to becoming an entrepreneur and getting started online.
Sure. So my family, where I come from, has always been the college family. You go through school, you get good grades, you go to a good college, you get into a career, and then you go from there. Everything, you have to have that degree. That's the one thing my dad very firmly believes, and probably the thing I'm disappointing him in the most. But I'm okay with that now. So, growing up, I never quite knew what I wanted to do. I mean, I had great ideas, like, I was 5 years old. Oh, I'll go be a marine biologist. Oh, I'll go, do all these great, amazing things. No, now I want to be an engineer. Now I want to be a pilot. But you never settled on anything. Those are all just the fancies of being a child. And they were great because they were dreams. But as I got older, it got a lot harder to keep those dreams. I won't say I ever ran in with the wrong crowd, but just the attitude that comes with junior high and high school is really kind of dark for a lot of us. And, it's not cool to be successful. It's not cool to get good grades. It's not cool to work hard and do all those things. And so, while I didn't buy into that entirely, it definitely influenced me, and my grades suffered for that. I think the other problem was that some things in school came too easy for me, while other things came hard. So the things that were so easy, I could do and get an A in without even trying or thinking about it and looking at it. And the things that were hard, like math, I had to struggle with, and I didn't have the self-discipline to get through that struggle. So I went into college, started at the junior college, and I decided that I wanted to pay my own way as much as possible. So yes, I was living with mom and dad, but I paid for most of my college. I bought the books, I paid for the tuition, and I bought them at a rate that I could afford all the way through, which means it took a lot longer. But I did it. Just to throw it out there, I want you guys to know I am Mormon, and so I did serve a mission for 2 years in Australia. And that was a really great time period where I got to grow, where I got to really determine what I believe, what I think, and where I got to help other people in a lot of different ways. Because, it's not just knocking on doors. A lot of it is actually, okay, today we're going to help out at this school and, do some things for them that they can't do. Okay, tomorrow, tomorrow we're going to be helping this other person who's down on their luck. Oh, look, there's a natural disaster. We're going to be cleaning up after that for a while. There's a lot that goes on to it. But I felt great after that. It's like I could take on the world. And then I got home. It turns out I couldn't. Life was harder than I expected it to be. And I struggled quite a bit as I continued through college, not really knowing where I wanted to go. At one point, I thought I might be a really good teacher and I'd go into academia. And I still think I'm a good teacher, but I really dislike the the political atmosphere, the think our way or else attitude that a lot of college has. There's no specialty. I mean, they don't branch out the way they should. Instead of encouraging ideas, they encourage this idea and this idea. These are okay, nothing else. And that just rubbed me the wrong way. Eventually, I eventually got married, and that was fantastic. I've been married for, oh gosh, my wife is going to kill me if I get this wrong, 13 years now. And 13 years, because it was 2005. And so it's been wonderful. I really love my wife, and that's been fantastic for us. But shortly after we got married, we discovered that there was a lot of health issues there that neither one of us expected. I think one of my low points was I've been working for a job for Dell Computers for about a year as one of their tier 1 on the phone tech support guys. So yeah, if you didn't get India, you got me, and I could actually help you. I've what? But we would, while I was working there, she came down with a case of pancreatitis. Now, if you don't know what that is, it's really painful digestive issues where your pancreas gets inflamed by things in the gallbladder. And she ended up in the hospital for about a week. And this all happened while I was trying to drag myself through school. I was the only income generator at that point, working, I think I was making $13 an hour trying to do this, and I had no insurance for her. I was hammered. There was nothing I could do. And so I had to find something else. And I ended up coming back, making a really hard decision. It was time to come back. I left where I was at college. I dropped out of school. I came home to where both her parents and my parents lived, which was about 100 miles away. And I started looking for a new job. And I was able to find a new job that was really amazing. As a matter of fact, these guys I still work for to this day. It's been 10 years and I'm still there. But not for much longer. And that is a wonderful thing. So these guys took me in, and I was able to really build my IT profession with them. I was able to grow and build. I was able to take care of that debt I built up. And everything seemed great. I thought maybe this would be the career. I even started going to school again to try to go in to further this career. And it was at that point I started questioning everything about my career choices. It was around that time that they introduced a program for 24/7 coverage for some of our clients. And that meant that I had to take about a week on the phone, well, at the time it was about every other week. Now it's about every 5 weeks. But I would have a week on the phone where at any time of day or night, regardless of how much I'd worked, I would have to take any call that came in, and I would have to troubleshoot right then and there. Didn't matter if the issue was above what I understood. I was reasonably skilled, but some of our clients had some very specialized technology with very special issues, and it didn't matter if they called in or if somebody else called in. I had to at least triage it and get it to a point where it was hopefully stable, or at least to where I could get the other engineer on site as soon as possible. And that was miserable. It still is. I don't like it. Being on call sucks. You can't go anywhere. You can't do anything. You have to, you can't even go to a movie, because if you have to take the call, you have to leave and run out and grab your laptop and go. I started having to take on a lot harder projects. And that's good because it challenged me, but it didn't give me satisfaction. I found it to be stressful and not enjoyable. And that's not a good thing. So I was having extra stress added into my life, and I was realizing that if I really wanted to make more money, to give you an idea, I live about an hour or two from the Bay Area of California, so Silicon Valley is 2 hours away from me. With my current skill set, if I wanted, I could apply to any number of places there and walk away within the next 2 weeks with a 6-figure job. Not even a problem. I have lots of friends from my company who have since left and have done exactly that, and they were doing exactly what I did or less. So I'm going to school for things that are going to force me to go over the hill, make a 2-hour commute every day, 2 hours one direction, so 4-hour commute every day for more money. or I have to stay with this and keep the lower salary. And the reality was my wife's health issues and some of my own were starting to get to the point where that wasn't being covered. So I'm not meeting my needs anymore. I'm getting extra load at work. And I still haven't been, and up until that time, I hadn't even taken a vacation for myself in 10 years. I mean, I've gone and visited family, but nothing else. I finally managed to go and take that vacation. I go on a photography tour. I've got some great photos from that of the Milky Way, of beautiful landscapes, and it was perfection. It was the best feeling I had had in years. And then I had to go back. Gosh, did I have to go back. And I couldn't take it. I could not take it anymore. And that's when I was drowning out my misery in YouTube videos. Just watching random stuff. I don't even remember what it was I was watching at the time. But this guy comes on the video and, he's introducing you to his house and it's this really nice home and he's talking about some marketing garbage or other. I don't even know. Click next. So I skipped his ad. And a little later that day, the ad came up again. This time I watched maybe a quarter of it before I even realized I'd watched it. What am I doing? I don't click ads. I clean up after people who click ads. Come on, do you know how many people I have to clean up? What did you click? Seriously? You clicked that ad? Great. Now I have to clean off all the viruses off your machine or wipe it or something like that. I don't click ads. I fixed that. And yet for some reason this was compelling. Well, I still managed to skip it that time, but I couldn't skip it the third time. And I watched it all the way through, and I was intrigued. I think what intrigued me most is I recognized in it something I'd recognized in Bitcoin in 2013, 2014. I actually started with Bitcoin just about the time it was hitting 700 for the first time, $700. And I saw it go all the way up to 1,000, and I was ready to get in, and I was doing all kinds of stuff. And I even started mining coins. I was doing the hard way to get coins, like just generating them out of sheer computing power. And then I guess I could say I got cold feet. I was looking at the numbers, and I was trying to find what was wrong with this. How was this going to go wrong? Because that was my mentality, is I had the wrong mindset, and I didn't go for it. And I can talk more about that later, but to this day, I still have a Bitcoin miner on my desk to remind me of missed opportunities. I think that Bitcoin miner is part of why I clicked that ad, because this time I saw an opportunity that seemed real. And that's how I started with AWOL.
Wow. So would you say there was a lot, you hit on a lot of things there, very powerful story, man, very powerful. What would you say ultimately through that was your line in the sand moment? Like what, because there was obviously a couple obstacles that you overcame and you kept moving forward, but what ultimately would you say was that like line in the sand moment that enough is enough? I'm going to choose one thing, and this one thing is going to be successful.
Wow. So that I think happened just shortly after the point we got to. So after, watching, the video with Kiala, obviously, and getting into the AWOL family, I actually read the PDF, and I recognized immediately that the PDF was great, but I needed more information. There's more to it than what's in that little document. It's a great starter, but you need more. And so I've signed up for that masterclass. Never have done that before. It's like, great, now I'm on somebody's list. I'm going to get emailed forever. Whatever, I'm going to check this out. So I get in there, and I think one of the things, people actually start buying. I'm like, what? People are spending $100 on this? Mm-hmm. Maybe it's real. Like, the whole time I'm off to the side, because I've got multiple monitors. I'm looking off the side. I'm like checking out everything he's talking about. It's like, okay, that's real. That's real. These are all real examples he's giving. I can click on these right now. This is genuine stuff. Yep. And so then I think he said something, he challenged everybody at the end, and I actually took the challenge, and I paid the $100, and I took the Pro Academy, and I did the Pro Academy super serious. I mean, I spent probably 5 or 6 major paragraphs filling out the dream, your dream day. Mm-hmm. If you remember that. I still remember. Oh, I do. That. I dug into that deep, and at the end of doing the Pro Academy, if you remember, there's that challenge that he issues. It's like because they say, oh, by the way, if you want to go to Elite, it's X number of dollars. It's a change since then, and I don't want to go into too much on that, but I saw that, I'm like, how can I ever do that?
Mm.
How could I ever manage that? Well, the last thing Kiala said hit me like, I don't know, like a ton of bricks, like a 2x4 to the back of the head, however you want to put it, was don't let your circumstances dictate your actions. And I went, oh, I can't believe that.
Mm-hmm.
That, oh, crap, no, I have to find a way to do this. I have no choice. I have to find a way to do this. That was the personal challenge to me. Like it was as though he had just stood there in front of me and challenged me to find a way to make this happen. And almost called me chicken. It was like, if you can find a way to make this happen, man, you're a chicken.
Yeah.
Fine. All right, we're going to do this thing. And that was really my line in the sand. I was terrified. By nature, I'm an analyst and engineer. My greatest fear is to get something wrong, to mess something up. Like, what if this goes wrong? What if all this is bad? What if these things? And fighting that was the hardest thing I had ever done. I was practically shaking trying to find ways to make this happen. But I still signed up for that coaching call. I had no idea how I was going to get in. I had no idea what was going to make something happen. But I signed up for it, and I waited for that call. And while I was waiting for that call, trying to think of any way I could to make this happen, because I knew this was something I had to do. I knew this was where I needed to be. My 401k advisors for our company came in. And one of them is actually a little bit of a friend of mine, and it's a family-owned company. So I've since got to know the family a little bit. They came in and they talked about things you could do with a 401k. Now at this point, I've been saving in my 401k for a long time. I had $27,000 in there, something like that. Don't now. But one of the things it said is you can actually take a loan against your 401k. And as it turned out, I could take a loan for $13,000. Well,
universe is speaking to you.
Oh, look, now I suddenly have the money I need.
Yep.
And it's like, okay, so this is fantastic. So I did that. And that, again, was terrifying because it's like when you sign that piece of paper for that loan, it tells you how much it thinks you're going to lose out on if you do this. And it said $90,000.
Wow.
I'm like, and the way I looked at it was, okay, I'm trading a small future for a big one. Fine. I'm committed. I have to do this. Sign my name to the document. Got all kinds of questions from my boss and from my HR lady, who was kind of concerned at that point. And then and then I went and did it. And I talked to my coach, and he was a great guy. He had this really calm way of speaking that just helped me calm those fears and go all the way through. So as soon as the money came through, and it took about 5 weeks for it to fully come through and manifest all the way through, just because of the way they released the money to me.
Mm-hmm.
I was able to sign up, and that was about a year ago. And yeah, since then it's been a wild ride.
Yeah, and it's something that you mentioned early. When you first saw that number, you said to yourself, how am I going to come up with that? Which is something that I really wanted to point out. Majority of people would have said, I can't do that. What I've learned, through much reading and value building, is that what separates wealthy mindset from a poor mindset is that exact thing. The poor mindset, you actually put limitations on yourself. You actually tell yourself you can't do it because it's just too hard, or it could be challenging for you. So you just say, no, I can't do it, shut it down completely. Whereas wealthy people accept the challenge. They want to look for the solution, and therefore they say, how can I, rather than I can't. And you were already starting to think that before the mindset training and all that AWOL offers, which is basically how I've been able to switch my mindset. So you already had that idea of how wealth is built and the correct mindset for it before then. And it's really interesting. You don't really hear that a lot when people are first getting started with AWOL. It's not a how can I do this? It's usually I can't. Like, oh, these people are doing it, but I'm different, or I'm not smart enough. It's like always these negative talks that are just completely pulling yourself out of the game before you even gave yourself a chance. So I thought it was really cool that you were already giving yourself the opportunity to find the solution. You were already trying to figure out how to best have the success that you've always desired. That was really cool to hear that.
Well, thanks. I didn't understand at the time what that mindset was, but looking back, you're absolutely right. That's where that was. And again, I think that comes back to my attempt with Bitcoin. I had the opportunity, like I was looking for ways to make Bitcoin work up until the point where I self-sabotaged myself and scared myself out of it. I had the opportunity to buy some very powerful, what are called ASIC miners at the time. They wouldn't do any good today, but in 2013, they could have been generating as much as about a Bitcoin a week or more, maybe as many as 2 or 3, depending on which one I got. So think of that way. If I was generating 3 Bitcoins a week, that was at $700. Imagine what would have happened if I had sold them all. So let's say I had been accumulating at that rate, so 3, then 2, then 1, because it would have slowed down. Imagine if I'd been accumulating like that for 2 or 3 years and then sold at the height of 2017, when it was $19,000 a coin.
Yeah.
I could have had maybe 30 coins to my name.
Yeah.
I didn't do it.
You would have been sitting really nice, no doubt about it.
I would have been. And so in a lot of ways, like, I don't know, you've read Think and Grow Rich, right?
Absolutely.
You remember the story of the guy with the gold mine?
3 feet from gold.
3 feet from gold. I was 3 feet from gold. I was that guy. But I'm okay with that, and that's because I've come to understand I needed that step to get to where I am now. Just because you miss one opportunity doesn't mean you miss all of them.
Mm-hmm.
Just because you didn't understand what you needed then doesn't mean you didn't learn something from it that you can take to your next chance. There's always going to be another opportunity. The question, just like there's always another wave in surfing. The only question is, which one are you going to jump on?
Yeah, no doubt. And that's something that I'm so happy you brought that up, because I find that people dwell on the regret of a lost opportunity to the point that all these new ones just walk right past them, and they're so upset and stuck on the one that got away that the 6 that are in front of them that can do that or better are completely ignored.
Absolutely.
I mean, that's really awesome that you brought that up, man. I really enjoy talking to you, Daniel. You're a really inspiring guy. I didn't really know all of the obstacles you had to come, like even get over just to get to AWOL. But I was at Elite Summit with you just recently, where I watched you convince a room. Well, I didn't see it, but I heard that you convinced, and then I talked to him afterwards, that you convinced a room of total strangers to pull out money from their pockets to help you further your education and raise your value more. You want to share a little bit on that?
Oh man, that was an amazing story. So let's rewind a bit from that, because the story it's a continuation of the whole AWOL thing. So I did Awaken in November of 2017, and it was probably one of the most powerful events I'd ever been to, if not certainly the most important in the last, since my marriage, since that time period, probably the strongest thing I've been to. And that changed so many things for me. I had been really hesitating on getting an ad up. Like, I was terrified to put an ad up. What if it isn't good enough? What if it isn't this or that? And so it's like I kept doing what I do when I'm scared, and I kept trying to gather more information. This is not a bad thing, but eventually you have to jump no matter what you've got. And I was scared of jumping. And so Awaken got me to do that. And so in January, I put out my first ad, had my first review of that funnel the week after Devin had his. And they told me almost exactly the same thing. Dude, you are there. You just have to scale this sucker and you can make it work. I had made some mistakes in that ad, though. I had targeted some audiences I shouldn't. Sorry, Ireland, Great Britain. My bad. And so I had to go and retool it. And after I retooled it, it never did quite as well. It still made money, but not as much. And I was always kind of crushed by that. And I let that affect some things. Come May or June, I'd made a few $100 off of it. I'd managed to make that funnel for my bosses, which was really good. But something triggered about that time period that put me, after being in the really good mindset, triggered me back slowly into that scared mindset. And there was a final thing that happened where I got an email that looking back on it, I misread. I thought it said that the balance in my bank account had hit zero.
Oh, wow.
I have no ad send. I have nothing. I can't do anything. I terrified. I lizard brain, if you know what I'm talking about,
yep.
the part of you in the back of the head that insists that you survive, he took over. And I could not log in to my accounts. I would move the mouse to go and do it. I could actually move my finger to the mouse, and I could not click. I could not click on my Facebook for Business account. I couldn't get into my emailer. I couldn't get into my web pages. Nothing. I could not touch any one of those things because that fear in the back of the head had just gripped so hard. And I didn't know how to stop it. I knew what was happening. I knew what I needed to do, but I couldn't make myself do it, because one of the things we need to understand about ourselves is one of the things that they talk about in Awaken is the intellect up here is a 90-pound jockey. But you've got this huge mass of other things going on in your head, your subconscious, all those deep memories, the fears you've had in the past, everything you can imagine is still there. And it's powerful. And when it takes control, all you can do is hang on. And I experienced that firsthand, and it hurt. The one good thing I was able to do out of all of this is I still left that one ad on. It was only it was a single ad, no split tests, doing $5.25 a day. And it went, and it went, and it went. From about, I think the fear finally kicked in hardcore in early June, right after my birthday. And I couldn't log in until the middle of August. And it just ran that entire time. And I knew I had to find some way to get past this. I understood that this was me failing. That this was me letting my old fears come back in and control it. And I knew I couldn't let it go. That's why I left that one ad going. That was my one tie to me not quitting. It's like, no, I can't give up entirely. Just because I can't do this right now doesn't mean I'm surrendering. And so I began, it was early August when I really started looking for ways to get myself out of this mess in my head. And I started by going to I picked up the phone and went to the Make Moves Monday call. I don't remember which speaker it was. You could probably look it up since it was early in August. Mm-hmm. But he talked, and he was really great. He was a guy who talked about some things that he was doing that was making a difference to him. And let me see if I can find it. Here it is. Sorry, looking for my book stack here. He recommended a book, and that was this one, which is The Compound Effect.
Yes. And
I decided I had to make a move. I had to do something to get myself out of this rut. Right there, middle of this other thing, went to Amazon, click buy, bought the book. So it arrived a couple days later, and I started reading. And I couldn't do every day, but I started it again. And after about a week or so, I was able to start reading, and then the energy came back. I was able to get back into the AWOL groups. Excuse me 1 second. I was able to start engaging my friends. I was able to start looking at my accounts again. And it was at this moment that I said, okay, whatever the number is in my accounts, whatever it is I've got, I'm going to confront this, I'm going to beat it, and I'm going to keep going with AWOL. This is where I need to be. So I got into my bank account, and there was negative $400 in there. Negative 400.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, crap. Okay, what are we going to do about this? Well, I shut down a couple of things. I shut down all eating out, period. I'm still only doing it once a week, and that's just to keep my wife happy. I wouldn't do it at all if it wasn't for that. And so that brought a lot of money back in. I then went and checked my AWOL bank account, the AWOL wallet, things have been depositing in.
Yep.
There was $600 in there with another $200 pending. I then went and looked at some other things, and I realized I had some checks from work that were for reimbursements for my cell phone, about $200, $300 worth. I hadn't deposited them, and I hadn't realized it. So suddenly, I have ad spend again.
Found money.
I found money. It's just there. It's there when I need it. Isn't that amazing? And about that time, I started hearing about the AWOL Elite Summit. They were pushing it really hard. I missed out on the opportunity to volunteer for it, but I probably would have tried otherwise if I just missed the cutoff on that. But I'm like, great, okay, this is an amazing event, I'm sure. I don't know how I could ever make it there. I'm still recovering from this mess I put myself into. What am I going to do? A couple of my friends, and one guy you should definitely interview if you get the chance, Arjan Namdev. He's remarkable.
He's already on the list.
Okay, you got to talk to him, man. He's one of my friends. He and I connected at Awaken, and I want to stop for a second and say, this is why it's so important to go to events, because you don't know who you're going to connect with. You don't know the people who are going to be there for you. You don't know what's going to happen. I connected with Arjan at Awaken. He and I had some business ideas. They hadn't quite gone through at the time, but we'd maintained friendship, and we still want to go and do those at some point. He's like, yeah, man, didn't you know you because you're elite, you've already get the first 2 days for free? Really? Okay. Yeah, and I'll tell you what, man, I'm going to be doing this big, crazy road trip. And if you want to hear about his road trip, you need to hear it. He's from Toronto. He drove across the continent. It's amazing. You'll want to hear his story later. Mm-hmm. Says, I will drive and pick you up in California on the way to this thing. Okay, so now I have a ride. I have 2 days free. I don't know how I'm going to get those last 2 days, but I'm going to make it happen. And now I need to find a place to stay. So at first I'm thinking maybe I can bunk with Arjan and his buddy, but I don't know if that's going to work. So I'm trying to find a way to make this happen. And normally I stay with family when I'm in Las Vegas if I have to, but the family I normally stay with, it's one of my aunts, and she is just down with kidney stones, like chronic kidney stones. She can't help. I don't dare ask. It wouldn't be polite. Mm-hmm. And I still hope she turns out okay. But I have another aunt and uncle who I almost never hear from. They're super hard to contact, not because they don't like the family, but just because they're bad at communication. And I'm like, okay, maybe I can stay with them if I get a hold of them. Well, the week before the summit, suddenly I get a call from my dad. Hey, guess what? Your aunt and uncle from Las Vegas are in town visiting your grandma. Come over for ice cream. Well, there you go. Mm-hmm. So again, because there was some desire to make this happen, things start happening to allow me through. And I'm able to talk to them, and I get a room. I've got a place to stay, I've got a ride, and I've got 2 days guaranteed. I still have a very limited budget for while I'm there, but I have a way there. So I get to the conference, and we have this crazy wild trip. If you check out my some of my posts on Instagram and things like that, I've got some pictures from that. Arjan has some video from it. It's really cool. We take the scenic route. We go past Mount Whitney and Death Valley, and we get buzzed by an F-18 fighter jet on the way there, and there's all this cool stuff. And we finally get into town, stay with my aunt and uncle, and start for the first 2 days. And as you know, the first day is all about the mindset. Mm-hmm. And I go and talk to Kella, and I say, hey, I don't know how, I don't have the way to stay here, but I'm trying to work something out. Anything I can do to stay here, I will do. I'll figure something out. Anything I can do, let me know, and I'll do it. I talk to the camera guys. I talk to the coaches in the back. I talk to Kella. I talk to Todd. I talk to anybody and everybody I can think of. And the reality is I can't find the cash for this. I'm able to get it down to about $1,500 I have to get. And that's because I'm already elite, and they classified it as AWOL Elite Light, which qualified me for a discount. So they gave me the discount. I have this idea, and so I tell Cal, I will shave my head live on stage and live stream it on my own feed so my mother can see if you will let me stay. And he laughs. He says, we'll see. I'll think about it. And Todd's kind of the same. When I talk to Todd, he's like, ooh, I don't know, man. Usually he says yes or no straight up. But tell you what, this is on the last day that I'm going to be there, on day 2. He says, all right, tell you what, man. I'll talk to Tiala one more time for you. Here's my personal number, and I will text you with the answer. So I've done everything I can. I've offered to shave my head. I have talked to everybody I can talk to. Russell and Arjen are amazing guys. They even tried to see if they could get me on the business partner discount. And that part wouldn't work because I'm already late. I am at this point, I've been super determined. It has been my one focus to be at those last 2 days. And I know what I've gone through to get here. And I decided at that moment that if the lesson I need to learn is that, try harder next time, I'm at peace with that. And I will spend the next 2 days doing nothing but work on my funnel and my business. And I will not let my attitude be changed. That's the line in the sand right there. I will not let my attitude be changed, no matter the outcome of my efforts. And that's a key to being successful in this industry. Doesn't matter what your results are, don't change your attitude. And so, anyway, I wander around the room for as long as I can, trying to gather as last bits of, happiness and joy coming from this place. And anyway, Arjen and Russell come grab me and say, hey, man, we're going to go down to dinner downstairs. It's time to bail. It's like 8 o'clock at night. I'm like, okay, fine. So we head down there, and I haven't heard back from Todd yet. And Todd, by the way, is the guy who runs Awaken. Amazing guy. If you don't know who he is, I should have clarified that sooner. But we go down to this restaurant, and I'm expecting it to just be the 3 of us. It's a room of 20 people. There's 20 people crammed into this one private room in this restaurant, and not one of those people expected it to be more than 3 or 4 people. All of these people show up in groups and end up in the same place at the same time. And I'm the last one in. And so we're all trying to find seats. I have to go grab a seat from the outside and, squeeze in and all this other stuff. And everybody's telling their stories. About the time I finally get settled in and get my food ordered, I'm about to tell my story, and I get a message from Todd. And he says, sorry, we have to keep the integrity of the event. And we appreciate the effort, but we can't let you do that. And I want to be clear. At that moment, I felt that he was right. Shaving my head would have been a cool stunt. And I did buy a cap just in case. So here's my AWOL cap, which is now kind of my trophy from this whole event. But he was right. Integrity matters. Integrity is what makes AWOL great, is because they say what they are going to do and they do what they're going to say. And if they had let me in on that, that would not have been fair. It would not have been honest with the people who were told you have to pay the amount to get in. This is the door ticket. It would not have been fair to the people who were told that and couldn't get in as much as the people who could. So I really respected Todd at that moment for saying that, even if I meant I wasn't going to be there. And I told everybody, well, guys, I just got some sad news, but let me preface it. And so then I told my story, and it took about 20 minutes. I told everything pretty much that I've told you guys here, maybe a little less, maybe a little more in some other places. And at the end of it, the room is silent. And people are just looking at me. And I suddenly know what's about to happen. And people suddenly start, whatever it takes, man, I will get you in there. You're going to be there. I want to help you get there. And it's not just one person. It's 2 people, then 3, then 4, then the entire room. And all of them are there. And I'm not going to name names of who they are because I don't want to leave anybody out. But these are amazing people. I did not ask. At no point did I ask for that help. But they all offered it. And so I had $200 in my pocket that I had been saving as in physical cash since Christmas as my emergency money. I pulled that out. I slammed it on the floor on the table. I said, "This is all I can do. I don't, because they're already offering." I said, "Any help is appreciated. Nothing is expected." They demand that I call Todd right there on the spot. They will not take no for an answer. I call Todd. He's pissed. Daniel, I'm right in the middle of a meeting. Todd, I'm sorry. I have a room full of 20 people who all say they're going to help me get in. And then you hear, cheering over the phone because I have it on speaker. And he gets like, he's like, all right, Daniel, if you're serious about this, meet me at 8:30 tomorrow. Click. He hangs up on
I can personally attest he's very serious about his meetings. I've actually gotten yelled at by him personally because of a meeting. Trust me, he's very serious when it comes to his meetings.
Yeah, so I won't do that again, but I'm still not sorry, Todd. Sorry, buddy. Sorry, not sorry. Anyway, but they all agree that they're going to be there at 8:30. The next, my challenge is that my aunt and uncle's place is on the far side of Las Vegas from where this is. It is a 50-minute drive from where I'm staying to that location, and I don't have control over the car. I'm getting rides. Okay. One of the guys who's in the room says, hey, I've got a spare bed in my room, and I'm only here for tonight. So why don't you come hang out with me tonight, and that way you can be on time.
Boom.
This guy isn't going to make it himself. He didn't get into those last 2 days of the Elite Summit, but he still wanted to help.
Now, I don't mean to interrupt you, Dan. But there's something exactly. That's so powerful, right? In your experience, have you felt this level of community and co-creation and just straight up love for a stranger like you have in AWOL?
Never in any organization that wasn't my church.
And that's what's so powerful. I mean, it blows my mind. It's something I tell everybody about. It's like, yeah, this skill set's amazing and it'll change your life, but the community is really the heart of what makes AWOL successful, in my opinion.
Absolutely.
Because so many people are given the same skills, the same opportunity, but it's the level of care that the other individual, not even the mentors, the coaches, and the staff of AWOL, but the other individual trying to succeed, the level of care and concern for your well-being as well as their own and your success as well as their own, I have never seen that in any other group of people, let alone a community of thousands. I'm overwhelmed with gratitude to be able to call myself a member of that community and to be able to lead by their example, to show the world that we don't need to be selfish and greedy, and that everyone can have their success. Everyone can have a piece of the pie if we just change the way we work with each other. And I think that's been one of the more profound things I've learned over this last year with AWOL. But sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you, but I just started getting emotional about it too. It just started making me think, like, where else in the world, except for in a church, which is something that Stoney also brings up, can you find this sense of camaraderie, community, and co-creation? Like, it's a beautiful thing, and to have it in a business model, let alone a religious model.
I've never seen anything like it in any business or business model I've ever seen, anywhere, anytime. It is unique and it is powerful, and I completely agree. The sense of overwhelming gratitude I still feel, but I really felt that night. But just that it just blows my mind. I mean, and that gratitude is important, because gratitude and humility are what make this place amazing. And it's keeping that humble spirit that really, really empowers you to do great.
Yeah, absolutely. And I didn't mean to interrupt you finishing your story there. So Todd said to be there at 8:30, and you were staying in someone else's room to get there on time.
Okay, so anyway, I have to race back to my house, to where I'm staying, grab an extra pair of clothes and some things so I can get cleaned up, and my laptop, come back. It's midnight, okay? And I'm trying to contact this guy. I've got his phone number, but he warned me that his phone has trouble in the, hey there, his phone has trouble in the hotel. So I'm calling him, nothing. Message, nothing. I can't get a hold of him. I get to the elevators with a heavy bag on my back and everything else. It's like, okay, The elevators require a key. Crap. How am I going to get up this elevator to get to the room where I know he's staying? And it's like, okay, you know what? At this point, I know something's going to happen. I don't know what, but I'm going to make this occur. And at the worst case, I'm going to head over to the front desk. I start trying to find the front desk, and as I turn around in the hallway with the elevators, Kiala comes walking up at midnight to head to his room. And it's like, oh, I know where this is going. And I said, Kiala, hey man, guess what? A room full of people just offered to pay my way. I'm going to be there. They made it happen for me. And then I did the next. I said, and the craziest thing, we've created a mastermind from this group of people, and they named it after me. Also true. You probably haven't heard that part of the story, but that's my first initial is the first letter of the group. So it's not fully named after me, but there you have. And his jaw drops. He's just like, are you serious? Are you serious? Oh, dude, way to manifest it. That's amazing. Can you tell your story on stage? I was like, yeah, I'll tell it if you want. He's like, well, I can't promise it's going to happen because I don't know how the times are going to work, but it might happen. So think about it. He takes me up the VIP elevator, not the normal one, up to my floor, lets me off, and I head over to the room. And some more stuff happens, but I get in there. Can't sleep the entire night. I think I got maybe 2 hours of sleep the entire night because my brain is just blasting with all the emotion and the adrenaline and everything else. Come 8:30, now my friends had given me a few $100, but they didn't have it in cash. They needed to pay with cards. So come 8:30 the next morning, I'm down there. I get there at 8:15. Todd's waiting. He says, well, Daniel, are we doing this thing? Yeah, we are, Todd. And one by one, they all show up. And it happens. And I got in. And they do it all for me. If you want to see the exact moment when it happens, I live streamed it. There's a video on my page, on my personal page, where I live stream exactly that moment and the sheer joy in that moment.
Wow.
My sister commented, I've never seen you this excited about anything.
Wow. Can I get, I'm going to ask you after we're done with this to shoot me over a copy of that link. So when I upload this video, I'll put it in the description section so people can actually go and watch that.
Absolutely. Yeah, I'll try and get that. I'll get that to you. Let's talk after this.
Yeah.
Anyway, so they're the most amazing 2 days of my life. Kiala gets on stage, and he's actually late that day, if you didn't know that. But he didn't have a chance to. There's no time for me, but that's okay. He tells the story, and apparently there was another guy who tried to get in at the same. Do you remember what happened there? Do you remember that story?
Yeah. He actually had mentioned it.
Why don't you tell the story, because I need a second.
Yeah, no problem. So when Kiala tells us the story about Daniel before we even knew what had happened, he's sharing this. It's basically a tale of two men. Daniel being one of them, and the other person, we're not going to mention names. But they were only able to get in the first 2 days apiece. And the second gentleman, just like Daniel, offered to do pretty much anything and everything besides pay the entry fee, which everyone else had already paid, to stay the rest of the event. And it came down to Daniel was willing to stop at nothing to find a solution, even to the point where his emotions and his body was radiating for a solution, not even his words. To the point where those 20 people, saw that, recognized how genuine he was, and went for it and wanted to help another person in need. The other person, back to the mindset thing we were talking about, just gave up. They put it forth everything they thought they could do, and when the answer kept coming up no, and the only other option they thought was how to come out of pocket, they said no. Like, they just gave up.
As I recall, he actually said, "Well, if you won't let me in, I'll have to take my money elsewhere."
Right. Yeah, and even brought it to the point of threatening Kiala with spending his money elsewhere. And for those of us who know Kiala, you're not going to win the man over with something like that.
Oh no! No.
And nor is he going to want to do business with somebody like that. He comes from a place of love and integrity where he wants to make our world a better place. But he also wants everyone to have the same level of opportunity. He's not going to hold someone else's hand while he's making someone else struggle, because he wants everyone to have that same opportunity. He's not going to baby anyone. And for that person to be like, well, I'll bring my money elsewhere, Kiala basically, and I'm going to paraphrase because I don't remember exactly, but said to him, good, take it there. And then when you're done there and realize that you've just wasted your money, come back and I'll take the whole amount from you then. And it was just like, because, you know, there's no getting around it. There's no, you invest in yourself to play. Everyone in that room did it. Everyone in that room was at the same level of investment in themselves, and that's why they got to stay. And if you weren't willing to bring it to that place, no matter what threat or cry or tantrum you threw, you weren't getting in. And you were a prime example of how someone could get in despite the no's. You find an answer. You don't get spiteful or let your emotions take over, which is what that guy did. You know, he threatened Kiala because Kiala told him no. Like, that's your emotions are ruling you at this point. You are not thinking clearly, and that's obviously did not work. Crazy.
So, to me, the best thing that happened out of all that, at least from the coaches and all that, was when they told me no. That no was so important because because I didn't let it affect my attitude. Look at what it catalyzed into. I now have a group of incredible friends who, you know, we're bound together by a really powerful bond, one that we would not have had if things had gone differently. That was probably the single biggest piece of value I got out of that. You know, aside from the incredible value of the event itself, which was mind-blowing. I mean, those last 2 days were beyond mind-blowing for me. And but to this day, I'm in that group with those people. A lot of them are just starting out their journeys, and they're not big into, you know, they haven't had any success yet. They're still building their funnels for the first time.
Mm-hmm.
But that's something I can help with. And so I get to assist all those people. I get to help them and build them and encourage them and do things that I couldn't do if this hadn't happened this way. And that's a gift. That's a valuable, powerful gift. I get to be there to help people that need my help the same way they were there for me when I needed their help.
And honestly, that's been one of the most rewarding things so far today. And you're just coming into it. It's great when you are doing it for yourself, but when you are able to take what you've learned and transfer that onto multiple other lives and watch those lives grow into, you know, the most amazing versions of themselves, that's truly rewarding. And it's something that I've learned to just give every chance I get, because in my opinion, in order to truly receive what you want, you have to first give it. And that comes with love, you know, fortune, anything. And to really know this stuff, I had to give it away. I had to give it, to teach it, to really enforce that I knew it. And then it just started, just like the book, The Compound Effect, it just started compounding on itself. You know, first I had success and I set myself free. Then I started giving it back to really cement that I learned it. And I started setting other people free. And then my success compounded with their success. And the next thing you know, I'm making more money in a month than more money in a month than I've ever made in a year. And it's just like, and all the while, I'm not even focused on the money, or that's great. But I'm getting to enjoy myself, not being stressed out about making more money, but I'm getting to enjoy my time with my family, with other entrepreneurs, with other AWOLers. It's just, what a life. It's just, I'm so grateful. So grateful. But it looks like we're actually coming up on the last 10 minutes of our interview here. So I always like to close it out with a 2-part question. Okay. And I'm going to have you back out for a second interview just to get more of your story, because we didn't even get to touch on the funnel you were able to build for your bosses and all the things you're able to do with these skills to build on more success and value on yourself. But the 2-part question, we'll start with the first, is someone who's on the fence about joining AWOL, what would you say to them?
I would say 2 different things. The first thing I would say is commit to it. When you are at a place where you can seriously commit to yourself and to this marketing team, this event, whatever you want to call it, this project, when you are at a place where you can commit seriously to it, do it. And understand that that place is going to be in your head. You need to decide whether or not you're going to take the step on either side of that fence. Because whether or not you think you can or you can't, you are 100% right. When I thought I couldn't, I couldn't. When I thought I could, I could. And what's more, I know things will start moving in ways you can't even imagine to make it happen for you when you are serious. That doesn't mean that there aren't challenges. I still face challenges. I know Chris here still faces crazy challenges. Things are still there. But ways will appear for you to get through those challenges. They will become opportunities to learn and to grow and not things to block your way. If you're going to do this, commit 100% to yourself and take that challenge. Don't let your actions be dictated by your circumstances. Don't ever do that.
Wow, that was powerful. The second part of that question is someone who just purchased the training. They're just getting started. They have this whole massive world of information in front of them that's going to change their lives, but it's just they don't know what to do with it yet. What would you say to them? Just getting started.
Learn to drink from a fire hose.
Oh, man. So true sometimes.
It is true. Actually, one of the things that I learned, so if we ever get the chance to have this event to talk again, and I'd love to for you, man. One of the things one of my current bosses told me is learn to master incremental change. Get used to the idea that you're not ever going to arrive. There is no sudden destination where you have suddenly made it. There's only a new vista to look over, a new thing to see. I think that's one of the things that those 2 days taught me. The first 2 days of that conference were, here's where you are, here's the hill you're climbing, here's all the things that you can do to make it up that hill. The second 2 days, here's all the things you get to see and do once you climb the hill. Here's the vista of what is possible, of where you can go, of what you can do, of who you can be. That's what those last 2 days of that summit were about. And so learn as quickly as you can, but don't go faster than you're able. Master incremental change. Do something every day that gets you closer to your goal, and take happiness in having accomplished that, not just don't make yourself unhappy because you're not where you want to be yet. Because if you're doing that, you're never going to be happy. Be happy now, make changes now, and move forward at a pace that matters. Do it at a sustainable rate, and you will be much happier.
Perfect. Daniel, thank you so much for taking time out of your day and jumping on the show with me. It's been great to get to know you a little bit better. I think you're a very inspiring person. I cannot wait to see your future success. I know you're just on the verge of going really big. I
can feel it, bro. I can feel it. It's right there. And yeah. I'm taking my own advice. I'm making changes every day, and I know that pretty soon that compound effect is going to kick in, and wow, is it going to be good.
Yeah. So, just thank you. Thank you so much. I really do appreciate it.
Thanks for your time, Chris.
Yeah. And let me just do this quick. And to you, the viewer, thank you so much for taking the time out of your day today to jump on this interview with Dan and I. I know that your time is just as valuable as ours, so I really do appreciate that. If you resonated with this video today, please hit that like button. And please comment your biggest takeaway. What was one thing that Daniel and I talked about today that really resonated with you that, you're going to implement into your life or your business, or, just start living at principle. Also, as always, if you want to get the value as it's dropping fresh, make sure you subscribe to the video. And if you're ready to get started today and become a digital marketer, I'm going to make sure that you have a link in the descriptions of this video so that nothing is stopping you from getting started now. And as always, I love you guys, and we will see you next week. Peace.